There is something special inside you.
Welcome to GNG Podcast with your host, speaker, best-selling author, Chaz.
Yo, what's going on, kings and queens? It's your boy Chaz Jackson coming back to you once again, representing GNG Gifting and Gift. Hey, I personally just want to take the time to tell each and every one of you, thank you for giving me your eyes and your ears once again. As a great to dive deep into some inspiration that I pray will plant like a seed in your mind and assist you in becoming a greater version of yourself. So I'm super excited about episode 36. We got my guy, Reverend Jumanne Bradford. He's going to come and bring some amazing value to each and every one of you. Go ahead and let us know that you're there. If you're looking at this on the Facebook live stream or replay, or if you're looking at it on YouTube, one of the podcast platforms, we want to know that you're here. Go ahead and share this out as we get ready to dive into the theme of this message, the gift of multifaceted wisdom and knowledge. So again, Reverend Jumanne, he's going to dive deep and provide some value for each and every one of you. And you know, if you're tuning back in to GNG Podcast, our motto here is we're all gifted differently to make a difference. And I truly believe no one is too small to be a difference maker in somebody else's life. Each and every one of us have a story to share. And man, I am so passionate about exploring that whole journey with you as I continue to take that daily challenge on impacting lives along with each and every one of you. And I want to go over the mission statement of this platform. For all my new listeners today, or if you're tuning back in, I know you're taking this daily challenge with me of becoming a passionate visionary who is determined to leave a legacy for themselves by adopting unwavering life values and serving others in the area of gifting led by God. So that is the journey we're on. We're going to continue to take that daily challenge. I want to go ahead and read off Jumanne's short bio. I'm going to get this champion on for you guys. But he is a husband. He's a father. He's an educator, mentor, and speaker out of the Maryland area. He is super passionate from talking with this guy. Also seeing how God is using him on his platform in his community. Being a founder of a nonprofit organization, Engaged, Enriched, and Empowered, as he's pouring into young people and helping create phenomenal lives one day at a time, as well as being a podcaster and multiple certifications to become the leader and the giant that he is today. And I'm going to go ahead and get him on, let him share a little bit more about himself.
Yes, I'm ready to get it. Praise the Lord. Let's go.
Let's get it. So I know what I shared on your bio was short and sweet. Is there anything else you'd like the audience to know about yourself?
Well, of course, it's one of those things where a humble man, it's hard to really talk a whole lot about yourself, but I'm always challenged, but also, gracious and honored to have an opportunity to share a little bit more about myself. I'm certainly a native Washingtonian, been born and raised in the DC metro area. I reside now in Prince George's County, Maryland, which is the mecca of Black wealth in this country. Certainly, I've been giving back since the age of 14. The many things that I've been able to accomplish, certainly, has been done with a solid foundation. And I certainly don't take for granted the people's shoulders that I actually stand on. I'm a father, of course. You mentioned that, a husband. Family is very important to me. And my family also knows that, being a community person is also big as well, because I know a lot of times our values stay within our households. We close the door and then we keep those wonderful things to ourselves. I like to open that door and share those same values with the masses. As you know, we're both Christian men, so we also carry those morals and values of our spiritual development with ourselves as well. So no matter what God has blessed me to build, whether it's Engage, Enrich, Empower Youth Project, which is our nonprofit, or being blessed to be an officer and executive, on the teams of the 100 Black men of Prince George's County. I'm also an alpha, also a member of the Morehouse Alumni Association,
Yes,
so
sir.
I take it very seriously when I give back to my community. So I think today is a blessing to be on GNG and being able to share, many of the things that I've been doing, because you have, over 30 some odd episodes of other outstanding people such as yourself that's been doing the same thing. So I know I'm in great company, and I'm certainly looking forward to sharing that with your audience today.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for going a little bit deeper and sharing how you're shining your light led by God to impact the youth through your nonprofit. I know we talked even off camera more about, being a part of the John Maxwell team and being affiliated together. He's obviously a guru, and just how you're being an entrepreneur and creating a foundation in our young people, young men in general, of how we are striving to build entrepreneurship mindsets to be able to go out and know, hey, you do have the potential to create phenomenal lives for yourself, your family, your school, your community, and you have the potential to, pour back and serve other people and show them how to strive towards being a difference maker in their area. So I just wanted to start off by just saying, hey, thank you for what you do. And I'm just so excited to get you in front of this audience. Whoever's listening, you are definitely in for a treat. Go ahead and get your pen and paper. I never steer you wrong from doing that. So go ahead and grab that and get ready to grasp these gems that Jumanne is going to share for us. But even going back, so again, I know you're involved as an educator, a mentor, speaker, youth advocate. Jumanne, can you share a little bit on your story of what did all that start from to get to where you are right now in 2021?
Right. Excellent. So I would have to go back to when I was 14 years old. I believe that was the period in which my service to others, especially the youth, really began. And I know it might sound strange to a lot of people, but those of you that have had the blessing and the task of raising younger siblings, it's no different when you find yourself in a situation leading other young people at such a young age. So I got my first opportunity, believe it or not, with the Girl Scouts of America. They had a summer camp over in Suitland, Maryland, which is right inside the county, right outside of DC. And I wanted to work, earn a little bit of money. My parents had instilled a great work ethic in me. So at 14 years old, I wanted to get out and have my own spending money. So being accepted into their camp as like a junior counselor, I began my journey of mentoring and nurturing kids younger than myself. So, of course, at 14, I was put in charge of a group of elementary school age kids, lower school kids. And that began a wonderful experience in my heart and in my mind where I said, wow, I'm actually making a difference with younger people outside of my own younger siblings and cousins. And by the way, they attended those camps too. So I'm telling them what to do like I do at home, but I'm also, nurturing other people's children as well. And I had no idea because I got into it just wanting to earn my own money. So from there, I kind of, the seeds were being planted that I was going to do something with the youth. So, of course, as a young man growing up and matriculating in this area, and my parents, afforded us to be able to go to private school, I wanted to be a pediatrician growing up. Knew I wanted to be a doctor, but since I had an affinity for children, I wanted to put the best of those worlds together, medicine and children, and become a pediatrician. So that's kind of how I got my start and my vision as to how and why I wanted to give back. We have wonderful people today. You mentioned John Maxwell. I know we're going to talk a little bit about, people like Miles Monroe, other leaders like Tony Evans, but most of them always said that you want to make sure that you're planning effectively for your future. I thank God for my parents because they made me a conscious little black boy. My name is Jumanne Johari Baraka. So though what it means in Swahili is
That's what I was
Tuesday's
going to get
blessing.
to. Yeah, that's what I
Right.
was going to get to. What does that mean?
Right. Tuesday's blessing in Johari is jewel. So I'm also a jewel. I'm important.
Oh,
And
I
when they
like it, man.
instilled that, right, when they instilled that, and my brothers and sisters have Swahili names as well, they instilled in us a sense of pride that no matter what happens to you on the face of this earth, you still have value and you need to exercise that value. So in turn, I wanted to give that back to other people. The Lord always says the Lord has a sense of humor, but he also has a true purpose for us to realize for ourselves. Remember, I said I wanted to be a doctor, but the Lord steered me in the direction of being an educator and a minister. Both are fruitful. Both have done marvelous things for me in my life, and I'm thankful for that redirection. But I'm gonna tell you, I had to go through some painful times wanting to do what I wanted to do, what I desired. But the Lord kept telling me, no, I want you to go in this direction. And I tell you, being in these two professions, these callings, these vocations, as we call them, I have never worked a day in my life. I know a lot of people, doesn't mean I'm not grinding, doesn't mean I'm not working hard. But what I'm saying is I can get up every day with a big smile on my face and on my heart because I know I'm operating in my giftedness and my talented area. So being put in those positions growing up where I was a young leader early on in my life when other people are still doing other things. I still rode my bike. I still played sports. I still did every fun thing. I don't want your audience to get me wrong. I still had a childhood, but God always placed me in areas where I could lead. And as a kid, I thought it was a burden at first. But when I look back on it, I'm like, wow, you were getting me prepared for what I'm doing now for the masses.
Dude, you covered so much, and thank you for diving even deeper on your story and the things that you're passionate about, how you took this journey to get to where you are right now, and so many avenues that I feel like we can take, but I feel like God's leading me to go here. In the book of Proverbs, it talks about in chapter 19, verse 21 to be specific, he says, many plans on a man's heart, but the counsel of the Lord will prevail. And even whenever I'm thinking about my own story of how I got to where I am right now, I'm starting out, I thought, I was going to the NFL thinking about, playing and that on that platform, on that level. But, I had many plans in that area, but God saw me working in physical therapy and being mentors for young people and striving as a speaker and coach to encourage other people, to strive towards their greatest version and reaching back and fulfilling and encouraging other people, to bring their gifts to pass. And again, that's kind of what I'm getting from you, talking about on your whole path of being a doctor and now, through those trials and tribulations and those lessons that was learned along your journey, you found yourself pouring into young people and shining your light in a different area. But again, many plans are in our heart, but God's counsel will prevail, and it seems like his word or his will has prevailed in your life as you're striving, to provide for yourself, your family, in the school system in the Maryland area, in your community. And gosh, man, I definitely resonate with everything that you shared there and the steps that you're taking to create phenomenal lives. And I know we even talked about off camera of breaking those generational chains and renewing our mind and showing our young people how they have potential. Because, I share a lot of times, we perform at the level of our belief, not the level of our potential. And, getting those belief systems in place and that mindset. And gosh, man, what you're doing with, Engage, Enrich, and Empower Project with your nonprofit and all these things God has planned for you moving forward. That's just so exciting to hear. And I know the audience took a lot from what you had to share there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned about our achievement level. And there's a big achievement gap because our kids don't believe. You mentioned about our level of belief. They don't believe that they can achieve things outside of sports or entertainment in order to make a good living for their households and their families. And that's one of the biggest lies that continuously get perpetrated today, that we have to break that curse, because that's more than a generational curse. That's like a racial curse, because we allow these outlets of media and entertainment to dictate to us and our children how far we can actually go. And if we do achieve the status of an Oprah Winfrey or Tyler Perry or P. Diddy or Michael Jordan, there's still this buffer that people place above even them, and saying that you can't achieve any more than this. We're not going to let so many of you achieve this status. But that's another lie. And I like the fact that you mentioned that, because, you know, as a scientist, I always remind folks that potential energy is what's stored up in you. It's what God gave you, your talents and your gifts. But whether you use them or not is really up to you. Don't blame anybody else why you couldn't do this or do that, because if you allowed them to make the choice for you, then you have effectively given them control over your life. We want to turn potential energy into kinetic energy. That's energy of motion. That's where you're taking all of this potential. That's where you're taking all your gifts and talents and you're running with it. You're not letting any barrier stop you, because no matter what you do, there are going to be challenges. The young people today got to realize that you are equipped to handle any challenge that is before you. Don't let anybody kill your dreams. You know, don't. If you know Langston Hughes's poem, don't let your dream be deferred. You know, don't allow people to cage you in and destroy what you believe that you can do, because God already instilled in you greatness. You just have to put it in motion. And you mentioned Proverbs. Let me go to my favorite verse. That's Proverbs 22:6. You train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they get old, they will never depart from it. And that's exactly what we're instilling in them today. Don't tell me that at 8 years old you can't achieve. You can't be a business owner. You can't be on the honor roll. You can't be a starter on this team. You can't lead a debate team. You know, don't tell me when you get to high school that you can't create a patent for a new invention, that you can't start looking at schools, colleges, professional schools, you know, programs that you can get into. Age is nothing but a number. People assign ages to things and they say, I can't do it because I'm not ready yet. Well, here's what I tell folks. You know, maturity has nothing to do with the actual age. You know, I've known mature young people that are more mature at 12 years old than I know people that are 30 years old that'll be able to speak and accomplish certain things because of their giftedness, because they realize that their potential can be put into motion, and all they had to do was make the choice to flip the light switch on and get it moving. So this is the thing through the nonprofit and really anything that I do. If I'm partnering with anybody, any cause, any organization, any school, I'm not being a part. I'm not going to be a part of it unless they have an overall mission of making sure that kids are taught holistically. And what that means is you got to touch more than just academics. You got to touch more than just athletics. You got to touch into their spiritual nature. You got to touch into their mental development more than just academics, but making sure that kids know that you actually care. Wow, you know, when you fill our schools with teachers and administrators and coaches and mentors that actually care, then you'll see that our kids can actually achieve more than what they're allowed to do. But too often in the inner city, our kids are being thrown away. They're being brushed aside. If you're already being labeled a certain way, then people will perpetuate those labels and won't allow that student to really grow to their full potential. So that speaks to it. Sometimes our kids don't even know that they have potential because they're not told or taught that they have potential. So if they don't even get to that threshold, they can never get to the point where they put it in motion. And I think that's one of the saddest things. I get angry sometimes, Chaz, when I'm in front of kids and they tell me their teacher said this. And it could be some of the most negative stuff you've ever heard. And I'm like, you should be locked up. You are in a position where you can make or break a child, but yet you're spewing negativity. For some of them, they can get that at home. They can get that on the block. They don't need somebody that's spending 6 to 8 hours with them every day telling them that they're nothing. And that's where we come in to change that narrative, because it's so important.
Dude, guys, that is so deep. There's no better way that could be said, Jumanne, what you shared there. And what really stuck out like a sore thumb to me, based off of all the gems that you just shared there, was caring, loving.
Right.
I mean, me even thinking back in high school, whenever I didn't have hope, when I got hurt my senior year in football, my coach showed that, he's there to care, that he's there to cultivate, saying, hey, Chaz, if we do A, B, and C, we're going to get you back on the field. There's still going to be a chance, being a hope giver. And I mean, there's so many stories that even the people that's listening to us can share. But, I was on the verge after breaking my leg my senior year that, I wasn't going to go to that next level. But again, him giving me hope, him showing that he cared, that propelled me and gave me confidence to keep pressing forward, to continue into physical therapy. I talk a little bit more about that in my book, Live, Learn, Lead Powerfully, about the therapists who did the same thing to show that they cared, that they was really passionate about what they did. And he was pretty much like, look, Chaz, if you do everything I tell you to do, we're going to get you back on the field. And through God's grace, I was able to get back on that field. And it's funny, fast forward to 2021, I can say that, hey, that I'm a coach and I work in physical therapy because of those two individuals who showed hope and who cared about me and who speak life into me whenever I was in one of my darkest moments. And after even talking with young people, that's what I see is during their darkest times, there's not a lot of people that's wanting to propel light into their dark times. Not a lot of people that's wanting to, heal those wounds that's going on. And I mean, we can draw the line and plug in the blank of, what based on that unstable environment that they're growing up in, or domestic violence, or going through situations of showing fear, guilt, and shame, being angry, frustrated with what the world can throw at us when world knock us down. But having that individual, that teacher, that coach, that parent that's speaking life during those storms, and after we come out of those storms, man, we people, and I'm sure you have your stories that has left a footprint on your heart, and me in particular, going back to those two individuals. And there's so many of them, that left a footprint of just showing that they cared. And dude, I'm with you. It breaks my heart whenever we have professionals that spend a lot of time with our young people that's spitting that poison out, that's putting that doubt into our young people's mind. Because you take a water bottle, for instance, and you drop a dot of cyanide, which that's poison inside that water bottle. It's not water anymore, and that's all it takes. To pour a little piece of doubt in our young people's mind. Hey, you're stupid. You are not going to be able to be successful, whatever you are striving after. Nobody in your family ever done that before. Nobody ever written a book. Nobody ever went to college in your family. Most of your family members been in jail, and putting that little bit of doubt can ruin that whole belief system. Going back to what I said earlier, we perform at the level of our belief, not the level of our potential. So, but we just got to be those hope givers. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting you on episode 36, Jumanne, because I know that you are a hope giver. You're that person that wants to change our kids' minds and get rid of that doubt. Because if we can get doubt out of our young people's mind, and even talking to myself, getting out of my own mind, and realizing that, who we are, being children of God, and understanding, hey, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and there's nobody else on this planet that has your fingerprint. You're unique, and there's something special inside of all of us. And as we continue to water, that seed of greatness inside of our young people, inside of ourselves, inside of our community, we're going to be able to, break those chains that I mentioned earlier, and be able to create a whole different world that we truly want to see, of unity. And again, going back, wrapping it up, putting a bow on it, just caring. So I love what you shared there. And as we dive into this whole theme, the gift of multifaceted wisdom and knowledge, What does that mean to you, Jumanne? Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, when we dive deeper into, what it means to be multifaceted, what it means to be talented in different areas, every child is born, every person in that fact is born with a set of gifts and talents. And just how we throw around the term multitasking and things of that nature, what it means is that you utilize all of those things towards a particular goal. What is your focus? What is your drive? Where are you going? Through our masterminds and boot camps and workshops that we do with the kids, we have them spend 1 to 2 to 3 weeks sometimes just figuring out who they are and what their purpose is. Because we're always telling kids, do this, do that, but we don't actually teach them how to goal set and understand why they're doing certain things. We might have the greatest of intentions because we want them to be great, but we have to understand that they are the key or the linchpin to how great they can be. So teaching them how to really understand who they are, to know thyself, they're able to put all of those things together in order to be who they desire to be. Our parents told us that you want to be well-rounded. As I can always hear my parents saying, you want to be well-rounded, but they never really told me to what end and what that means. Well, we're telling them today being well-rounded means that you use all of these different areas of giftedness, these things that you're learning, and it's not just for your benefit, but it's for the benefit of your community. Pull other talented people in your circle. Look, we do it all the time anyway. When you're doing negative stuff, you pull around negative people to help you feel good about doing something negative. So why don't we put more concentration into when you're doing great things? Pull more people around you so you can do great things. What do we do when we're great? And you know it because you felt this loneliness before, just like I have. When you're out here doing a positive thing, you look around, no matter all your efforts, you trying to pull people to come with you, you still feel alone sometimes. That's what we have to change. Let us be a collective of folks that are doing good together. That's how we change our communities. Young people today want to know that you have skin in the game. What that means is they want to know, what experiences have you gone through where you think you can relate to me and talk to me? Because what they feel is that there's a generational gap. You don't know what you're talking about. Why are you trying to tell me what I should do with my life when you don't know what I'm going through? This is what I say. When we pull sports into it, football was my number one game. I played many other sports, but football was it. It was where I could take or gain my solace. I can take my anger, my being pissed off at my dad, all those kind of things, and I could take it out on the field in a legal fashion because it was something that put me through strain, through strenuous activities. And I was also good at playing football. I hated the fact that I hurt my knee and I never looked back. I had to move forward. But the fact was that when I was out there on the field, and all of my former teammates and friends would testify to it, they was like, Jay was unguardable because I like playing tight end or wide receiver. And I'm like, that ball was mine. And that's how I played the game. And on the other side, when I played linebacker or safety, I was trying to punish you. I was trying to get that ball out of your hand or you don't catch the ball at all. But that was my mentality. So sports outside of the classroom, just like in the classroom, I was an honor roll student. I wanted to be an all pro, all met, whatever type of athlete on the field. So when we ask kids, what are you great at? What is it that you want to do? Make sure you're looking at more than just what you can do on a court or diamond or field, but what is it that you do well in the classroom? What are your talents outside of that? What are your hobbies? We want them to focus on those things. And when I tell kids, I've been through the same thing, their eyes get all big, right? Because they like, how is this gentleman standing in front of me, clean cut? They always tell you, we saw what you drove in on and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, you think that's how I started? I was like, if I told you that I had a gun pulled on me and robbed for my possessions when I was your age, would you believe me? If I told you that I've been in situations where gangs wanted to hurt me because I chose to go to school over joining a gang, would you believe me? Well, in this area, we call them crews. Would you believe me? So I tell them, I was like, I've been through a lot of stuff. You got a broken home at 10 years old. My parents were split. That was part of the reason why I needed to take my anger to the football field, because I needed to have an outlet, because when I went home, I couldn't express anything to my father because I would get in trouble. That's why I grew up so angry at him. I understand why y'all mad at y'all fathers. I understand why you can't do certain things. Just know that I had to overcome, because I had somebody that cared about me just like we're caring about you, to take me to that next level. So when we're putting together a multifaceted approach, when we're looking at a child holistically, what we're saying is we're not just going to feed into you in one area. We're going to feed into you every way that makes you special and unique, so that you can drive forward and reach your goals.
This is such a treat, Jumanne. Thank you. Gosh, dude, like you coming off the top rope with the elbow, like hitting them, man. You did the Randy Savage right there.
You don't know that about this, Randy Macho Man.
Yeah, you did the Macho Man. You did the Macho Man right there, and that was so deep, and there was so much meat and potatoes that you share there, and I'm led to even say this, to say, I feel like, us as adults, if you're listening right now, parents, coaches, teachers, youth advocates that's pouring into young people. And this is for me and what I've learned, and based off of what Jumanne shared, I believe he resonates with what I'm about to share. But I feel like whenever I'm talking to my young people, I'm able to relate with them more about my weaknesses, about my failures, about my feelings, more than my successes. Yes, it's good to say that, I've spoken in front of people. I published a book, God's blessed us with cars and houses and all these good things, and nothing bad about sharing those things. But for young people, me even going from a neuro standpoint, they think more from their occipital lobe, their amygdala, more feeling based, because for us as adults, we don't truly build that whole frontal aspect, that frontal lobe, until the age of 25. And that's basically when we're thinking from an adult level, more complex thinking. So for our young people, they think more feeling based. So I say that to say this, going back, no better way than to put it the way that you shared it, sharing your failures, the things that you've been through, your life, your childhood experiences, being more relatable and being more exposed. And one of the things that I take pride on here on GNG podcast in life, something that I pray every single morning, is that I wake up and be authentic the best way that I can, and I know I'm not a perfect man, but I feel like kids, they can read that stuff, man. The energy flows. They can tell. Yeah. They can tell when you being phony, man. They can tell when you don't care. We're going back to that whole caring aspect. And whenever you truly open up your heart and really share your junk, hey, Steve, we were saying this is a young man, Steve. Hey, man, I don't know. This is what I've been through. This is what I've learned thus far. Let's take that daily challenge together. This is my experiences. This is how I progressed and learned what solutions I've come over with dealing with these problems, and really just being open and sharing based on feelings, because it doesn't matter your race, your color, how tall you are, what sport you play. I love that you play linebacker too, because I play linebacker and running back. So Jumanne, we definitely got some experience on that. But I say that to say this, man. I know I'm kind of bouncing from different areas, but I say that to say this. Our young people, regardless of your race, how tall you are, what occupation you have, we all can come back and relate on feelings. We can all come back there. That's one thing that we can duplicate and understand from a sense of feelings. And I truly resonate with what you just said there. Really getting authentic and just allowing them to, know that, I've been through this, and that's how we build that credibility, if that makes sense, with our young people, more than that more complex way or approach. But yes, sir. And
right.
Yeah, so even going from this whole angle, I know we've covered a lot, and outside of COVID-19, this whole pandemic, is there anything else that you feel that our young people struggle with in 2021? And can you provide a tip or technique for the audience to take away, to strive and take that daily challenge of overcoming?
Absolutely.
What comes to mind?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our kids certainly struggle with their voice. And that's primarily one of the main reasons I wanted to create with my co-founder, our nonprofit, because outside of academics and sports, there are a lot of nonprofits in the county I've worked for and worked with many of them. And I was like, you know what? We should do something different, something that speaks to the mental and spiritual wellness of our kids, something that gives them an outlet outside of sports or anything from the classroom, but letting them know that in our times where kids need to have a voice, they want to have a voice, we're here to promote it. I remember some of the elders in my family when I was growing up telling me, young people are to be seen and not heard. And I always remember that because it made me upset. Because as a young child, I felt like I had a lot to say because I was very intuitive and inquisitive as a child, and I paid attention to a lot. So I would see things that I knew that were wrong, but if I said anything to older folks in my family, I would get in trouble. So I always felt like when I have an opportunity to change that narrative for young people, I would do that. And, as a child, I was like, well, I'm going to raise my kids differently, because remember, then I didn't know that I was going to be where I am now. Now I'm like, not only are my kids in total understanding the way we raised them, that you do have a voice. Yes, what I say is going to be the final thing. But, as the father and the man of the house, but I'm at least hear you out. And that's way more than what my parents gave me. That's way more than what my teachers gave me. That's way more than what some of my coaches gave me. But so when you let them know, because they're seeing police brutality, they're seeing modern day lynchings, they're seeing corrupt politicians, they just had to endure the same 4 years that we did with the leader of the free world. And what can we tell them today? We have schools right now in several school districts allowing their kids to have days built into their school year where they can actually go and protest. And I think that's a marvelous thing, because we have to let our kids know that it is okay for you to voice your opinion. Now let us teach you how to do that. So not only that it keeps you safe, but you're not deemed as being violent or disrespectful. All the things that they try to stamp people of color with, we want you to do it in a way where they cannot deny your voice, and now you're able to use it. So we give them several techniques. If your parents that are listening right now, if you've grown up the same way that I have, change that paradigm, shift it. Give your kids space for them to give their opinion on stuff. Let them know that regardless of what they say, they have an open forum in order to do that. The reason why kids are not honest is because they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want negative repercussions. They don't want to get yelled at. As a parent, as a leader, as a coach, as a teacher, if you allow young people to give space, what we have, and you can duplicate this because I don't keep it to myself. What we create is called a round table for young people to come in. It's about an hour that we spend with them sitting around a giant table that we have in the conference room. And we let them know this is an open forum for you to get anything off of your chest that you need to. And then let us have a conversation about those things. If you would do that in your households, it'll teach them and model how they do it in the classroom. It'll teach them how they do it in the Boys and Girls Club, on the football field. It'll teach them how they do it in the boardroom. It'll teach them how they do it in their different debate teams and things like that. This is a lesson that's universal, to give youth a voice where they can freely speak, because you know what it does? It helps them mentally, it helps them emotionally, and it helps them spiritually, so that they can have balance in their own lives and not feel that they're inferior or they have to hold things in because they'll get ridiculed for the things that they have to say. This will stop drug abuse. This will stop alcohol abuse. This will stop the rise in suicide rate among teens. If you talk about you want to be an advocate for children in changing the things that are harming them, allowing them to have a voice will work wonders. We've seen it, and you can look at the research of it. Several organizations like Learn 24 and many others nationally have done the research to show you what it means to have youth voice and to allow youth to be their own advocates. In most cases, they don't need us to say anything. they can speak for themselves. They're articulate enough to speak for themselves. And that's the main thing that I want people to get from this. You got to allow the young people. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. They 8 years old. They 10. Trust me. They have things that they have observed, that they have internalized, that they are dying to talk to you about, because they may give you a different perspective as a leader to make a different choice. Because think about it, Chaz, everything that we do, it resonates down to our young people, whether we know it or not.
Oh yeah,
It could
most
be in your
definitely.
household. It could be what you do in your company, in your school, the policies people are making on Capitol Hill. When we deny the voice of the young people, then we're making decisions that actually exclude them when we think that they're included.
Yeah, now young people are always watching. I know I got a 5 and a 2-year-old, and they're constantly watching every move. Even people's always watching us, family, whenever, even when we think they're not watching. So
Yeah.
that is so much that you share there, and that whole voice. I wholeheartedly believe in that. And Maya Angelou, she said a quote that I want to share based off of that whole voice concept. She says, there is no greater agony than the bearing of an untold story inside of you. So for some reason that really sticks out to me when I hear about that voice, is understanding young people, and even speaking to our adults that's listening right now, is, we all have a voice, and really understanding, hey, when we get that voice out, that story out, your story, I say this a lot, your story can be an oxygen mask to someone that's suffocating.
Absolutely.
Meaning, like there's so many people that's suffocating, feeling that they are alone, feeling that they don't truly understand. And we have to be that firm foundation, that voice to speak life into someone, to help them understand, that, hey, I'm not the only person that's going through this situation. And I feel, kind of going back to that whole authentic concept that we were sharing about, being open to our young people and sharing our true wounds and our scars, right? So obviously us as adults, we're still going through things. There's still wounds, but allowing them to see those scars. I love Lecrae. He's a hip hop artist.
Yeah.
Right, and he's the guy, and he did an interview. It was a couple years back, but he said a quote that really, really resonated with me. And he said, "We shouldn't be afraid of our scars, because we show wounded people that healing is real." And what I took from that, and if you are a teenager listening to me right now, understand that, hey, you are never in a position to be small or too small to be a difference maker in someone else's life right now. The things that you've been through in your early life can be something that can help change your adult's life. So never think you're too small to be a difference maker in someone's life right now, and really capture your voice. Get around amazing individuals like Brother Jumanne, Bradford, here to help water that seed of greatness that you have inside of you. But man, I really resonate with that whole concept. And really encourage each and everybody that's listening to us right now to encourage our young people to have a voice in wherever area of life that they're serving in. But yeah, that's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Hey guys, man, I feel like I want to talk to you so much more, and I have one more question for you, and however the Holy Spirit leads you to share with this. But our whole motto of this show is, we're all gifted differently to make a difference. There's a young person that's listening to you right now, a young man, Jumanne, that has that seed of greatness. That's kind of my perspective of how I look at it, and they don't know truly how to bring it to life. Is there some way that you can water them with some inspiration when thinking about that being a gift and a gift? The whole motto is, physically we're a gift, but I truly believe that there's something inside of us, a talent, a gift, or ability that only that individual is going to be able to do, because there's certain people that Chaz is not going to be able to impact, that Jumanne is going to be able to impact, and there's certain people that you're not going to be able to impact that I'm going to be able to impact. But is there something that you can share with that young male to help them bring their gifts to reality?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna lead off with that by just saying this wonderful thing that I'm gonna say next, and it's not a plug. I'm getting paid for, but Malcolm Jenkins has a documentary that's out right now on the Peacock channel, and it's called Blackboard. So the first thing I'm gonna tell your audience is mothers, fathers, sons, even daughters, watch that documentary because it's filled with 90 minutes of truth about young people who are given an opportunity to really make a difference. And it goes into what I'm going to say next to answer your question. I tell young people, be the GOAT, be the
Mm,
greatest of all times. It don't matter in what area. If it means you're going to be the best in the dance theater of Harlem, if it means you're going to be the best in the orchestra, if it means you're going to be the best in the classroom, on the debate team, on your future business leaders club, whatever it is, student government, I don't care what it is, whatever your giftedness and your talent is, strive to be the greatest of all time. It doesn't matter if you fall short, because the fact is, and this is a saying, I believe Les Brown, Donnie Simpson, all of them say it. They say if you shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll be amongst the stars.
mm.
So what does it matter if you're not considered the greatest of all time? Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Serena Williams. The fact is, if you're in that good company, you have achieved exactly what God has birthed you to achieve. You can do
That's it.
things that impact other people that resonate for generations. For generations. Think about that. We talked in the beginning about, familial and generational curses that people need to break, but we're also talking about generational or curses that we need to break within our own communities. And that's how we need to strive towards encouraging one another. Don't be the one in the classroom that's considered the bully that's putting everybody else down, because you're only a bully because you're hurting in somewhere where somebody didn't really touch on it. And
Mm,
that's where your voice comes in, because we can prevent the child that feels the need to bully other people because of their shortcomings that they haven't been able to express yet. So we want young people to understand that striving to be the greatest is not a negative thing. It's a wonderful thing, where our children are being told that it's negative because they want to keep us in check. But if you strive for that greatness, I'm telling you, you're going to have so many opportunities that open up to you that you're not going to know what to do. And this is why it's so important for young people to understand who they are first. You cannot set goals. You cannot understand your potential. You cannot set your mind towards some lofty, beautiful thing that you can achieve if you don't first know yourself. That is so vitally important. And one of the young men in the film said, because they asked him, what kind of bird did you want to be? And people typically say eagles, I'm gonna be a hawk, all this kind of stuff. You know what this young man said? He said, I want to be an owl. He
wow.
said, owls are wise. Owls can turn and have several different perspectives of the world. They're always observing. They're always looking. They're silent. They know when to strike. They know when to move. They're very cunning and calculated in the things that they do. I mean, this young man, he couldn't
Wow.
have been
That's
more than
deep.
14 years old. And in the inner city Chicago, where they interviewed him, and he said, and you know what's going on in Chicago. And he said all of these things that said it just blew his peers away. They was like, wow, ow. And they had to finally
Yeah,
say,
man. I
that's
ain't heard
dope.
nobody say
Yeah.
out like that.
Yeah. They had to finally say, yo, that's dope.
Yeah.
You own it. And that's what I want people to realize. You can be unique and comfortable in your own skin. You don't have to be like everybody else. Most people would have said a hawk or an eagle. You know what I'm saying? But if you had to describe yourself, in any terms, choose the term that fits you best. But that
Mm,
young man couldn't have said that, Chaz, unless he first knew himself. So
mm.
that's my whole point there, to wrap it up.
Boom. Boom. Jumanne dropped the mic for you guys for sure. And yeah, this is such a treat. It was such a treat. Thank you so much for blessing GNG podcast with your
Thank you.
time, with your effort, with your wisdom, with your knowledge. Hey, I'm looking forward to going back and listening to this, Jumanne, and you're an amazing individual. I'm so excited to see what God does with you next, because obviously we still got breath in our bodies, so there's still something left for us to do on this planet, and I'm just so excited to be right with you and be able to support you and look for you to continue to give God glory and shine your light and your life and your family's life in your school and your community. Maryland is definitely, blessed to have someone of your caliber leading them. So again, thank you so much. And I know there's somebody that's listening to you. Hey, they're like, I have to get in front of this gentleman more. Can you share a little bit more of your information? Also about your podcast. I know we talked about so much value, but I know you have some other stuff that you could share with the audience. So can you give your information on how to reach you?
Yeah, no problem. So on Instagram, Twitter, it's at Perfection. That's PROF, XSHON. And you can find me that way. On Facebook is Reverend JB Bradford. You can also look up Engage, Enrich, Empower Youth Project, also on Facebook. You can also reach us at our website, which is e3youthproject.org. And we always use hashtags E3YP. You can find us. So anything that has that hashtag, you can pick us up. And then, of course, you can do it the old-fashioned way. You can just go to Google and just put in my name, and you'll see many of the things that I've been able to accomplish, things that we're working on, and things that we're planning for a very fruitful future. So I'm not hard to get in touch with, and even if you can't find me that way, you can always hit Chaz up. He know how to get.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we really want to extend that olive branch. This is not just a local movement. This is a national and global movement. We've been very successful with our global masterminds and boot camps for youth. We've covered everything from entrepreneurship to financial literacy to effective habits to just learning how to cope with everyday life. So kids need that stuff because it's so important, because you'll be surprised if you're not a parent or a leader that's allowed for that space for youth voice. There's a lot of things you don't know about that young man or that young woman that sits in front of you. And I'm telling you 100% you don't. So utilize some of these things. And even if you don't, put them in front of me. I guarantee you after several weeks, you'll see a brand new youth sitting in front of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to go ahead and lead us out, brother.
All right. Bless you.
Hey, I told each and every one of you episode 36 was going to be phenomenal. Go ahead. Let us know what tip of technique that you took from this message that you're going to take the daily challenge on implementing in your life. Please, you know that we're here for you. We love you. We want to see you succeed. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. I want you guys to stay up with GNG. More episodes coming soon. I want you to do two things for me. Keep that crown on your heart. And remember this. We are God's echo. I love each and every one of you. Peace.
Thank you for listening to GNG Podcast. Remember, you are gifted differently to make a difference. Please visit ChazJacksonSpeaks.org and let's continue to grow together. God bless.